Hello everyone, Silent here, and welcome back to another episode of Bugrock of the Week. Today we're going to be looking at the newest 1.17 betas for the Caves and Cliffs update. These are betas 1.17.30.23. Anyway, the reason why I'm making today's video is you may have heard Mojang has changed iron farm mechanics yet again. And before there's mass panic and hysteria, I just want to tell you that it's not really important. It's not really going to affect anything, and it's not really that big of a deal. Alrighty, well that's basically the whole video. So before you here, you can see a pretty basic one-chunk iron farm design that I released on the channel a while back, and it works perfectly fine. Well, maybe not perfectly fine, but you get the idea. It still spawns iron golems, it still spawns a lot of iron golems, and over the last few minutes has produced a fair amount of iron. So as you can see, existing and current designs will work perfectly fine with this change. Basically, Mojang has slightly tweaked the spawning of iron golems to better match the Java edition. So let's go into the exact details of what that means. So now iron farms will choose a random X and Z position, and they'll spawn the iron golem on the highest spawnable block in that iron farm. So as you can see, the iron golem spawned up there at the highest possible layer, and I have not seen any other iron golem spawn in the layers below this, which essentially means that iron farms only need a single layer to get maximum rates nowadays, because they're basically only going to be spawning at the top of it, unless you do some funky business. So that is a pretty nice change. The range at which golems can be spawned has also extended massively, so now golems can spawn up to 6 blocks above the center of the village. So the center of the village is one of the pillars of your iron farm beds, and as you can see, we can go 6 blocks above that. This would technically be the 6th block, so this is as high as iron golems can spawn, and as you can see, they spawn really frequently still, which is great. Don't slow down the spawning. And they can also spawn 5 blocks below the iron farm as well, so we can have a spawning floor down here at this layer, so you can have your beds way above your platform if you feel like it. A nice little change of this mechanic is the fact that you can now stack beds on top of each other and still get the full rates of your iron farm, meaning that we can now build smaller iron farms and consolidate where the iron golems will spawn. So previously, if you had all of your beds laid out in a big old circle, the center of your iron farm might be like right here, but the village center could be off to the side a little bit, meaning that you're losing a little bit of efficiency because it's not directly centered. But now we can more easily center the village onto the actual iron farm structure and get better rates that way, while also having smaller platforms and only a single platform. So honestly, pretty straightforward. Overall, this is nothing that's really going to affect you. Any iron farms that you have in your world that are already working will still work fine. You don't need to tear down any builds, you don't need to rebuild anything, and you don't need to build any new farms. Basically, just keep what you got, use it, enjoy it, love it. A little bit of a side note here, I have no idea why Mojang is trying to optimize this system that should not exist in the first place. Bedrock Edition has a very strange mashup of pre-village and pillage mechanics and post-village and pillage mechanics. We don't have any of the modern iron farm features that Java Edition got in the village and pillage update, and what we have just does not make any sense. It is not intuitive, it is not mechanics that you can really find out on your own, and it's really silly in so many different ways. So I don't know why they're tinkering with the system. Just completely abolish our current iron farm mechanics, give us the scare mechanics, call it a day, it'll be great. And that's really all I gotta say about it. Maybe this change plays into that, but I don't know what they're doing. I don't know. I guess we'll see. So besides iron farms, this beta does add a couple of nice bug fixes that I expect to see a full round of rejoices for in the comment section. First of all, campfires and soul campfires are now a stackable item. Previously, these were non-stackable, and it was so silly. Weren't these added in like the Village and Pillage update? Or was it the Bees update? Either way, it's been far too long waiting for these things to become stackable items. So go ahead and rejoice, celebrate in your world by stacking all of your campfires. There's been a small bug fix with the scaffolding of Bedrock Edition. Now, if you fall into scaffolding, you will no longer take fall damage at all. Previously, as soon as you stopped moving, you would actually take the fall damage. So, like previously, if we were to jump into the side of this, get all the way to the top, and then stop, then we would take the damage. But as you can see, that is no longer affecting us. Now, keep in mind, if you fall on top of scaffolding, even if you're crouching, you're still going to take the fall damage. We do not have that feature from Java Edition yet. There's also a nice bug fix for the Thorns enchantment as well. So now if you're wearing Thorns, mobs that attack you will actually get knockback from that Thorns. Previously, they would not get any knockback at all. So if you are a wearer of Thorns armor, you now have a little bit more things to look forward to once you are getting attacked by mobs. You can like knock them off edges, and I believe this should also apply to players as well. Checking the bug report, it does mention that knockback did not previously affect players. I don't have another player to check this with. However, if it does actually affect players now, then that is fantastic. Anyone who attacks you in PvP with Thorns armor is gonna have a little bit of knockback applied to them, which can be extremely helpful in so many situations. Yeah, this beta broke some things. All the double chests are split, and all of them are completely empty. Furthermore, like this comparator is reading a hopper, but there's nothing in the hopper. Illuminati music plays. It keeps reading it even when there's nothing there to read. What are you doing, mystery comparator? Stop that. There's been a very small bug fix that's going to help buff the rates of our bone meal farms. So now if you ever bone meal a warped Nelium, that has a very small chance of giving you a crimson root or the crimson fungi from this. It's not a very high chance, and of course I'm not really going to get one on camera, but it is a possibility. So this is going to slightly boost the rates of our bone meal farms. Also, did the signs get wiped in this world too? Wow, everything in this beta is pretty broken, isn't it? So this change makes sense because you can already get the warped fungus from bone mealing the crimson Nelium. It doesn't happen often, but it does mean that you only need to farm one of these in order to get both types of item. As you can see in the crimson forest and the nether, we already get a little bit of the warped fungus here. As you can see, however, the crimson Nelium and fungus does not naturally generate in a warped forest. The only time it does do this is when there is spillover from a nearby crimson forest, so there is still a couple of bugs with the natural generation to be worked out. So that is beta 1.17.3023. There isn't a ton in this beta, but if you want to learn more about it, then the changelog will be down below. Furthermore, if you have any beta bugs, if you're playing in the betas, let me know. Send it my way in the comment section, Twitter, or a Discord, and I'll make a couple more Bugrock episodes. I also want to make a Bugrock episode going over all of the previous betas that I haven't covered. There's like 10 other betas, and they have some really interesting changes that I want to show you guys, so let me know if you're interested in that kind of video. Otherwise, thank you ever so much for watching today's episode. If you have enjoyed, then of course be sure to leave a like on the video. It significantly helps the video and the channel a ton. If you're new here, then consider subscribing, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you down in the comment section and in the next one. And then there was silence.